Quick microphone test. Can everyone hear me? Excellent. Thank you. All right, let's let the Kubota. A little bit louder? Okay. That's the guy to tell that it needs to be a little bit louder. Jason, are we good?
I think so.
Are we good? Can you hear me in the back? Excellent. Okay. Good afternoon. Welcome. I am Sarah Walker. I'm the Chief Medical Officer and the Interim Superintendent for the Oregon State Hospital. And it's a pleasure to see everybody here today. I'd like to start by offering my condolences to the friends and family of Senator Peter Courtney. We were sorry to hear of his passing this morning, and his family has asked that we continue with this ceremony because he was very happy to know the event was happening, and we wish he could have been with us. Despite the sad news today, it is still a pleasure to announce the official naming of this facility as the Peter Courtney Salem campus of the Oregon State Hospital, per former Governor Kate Brown's Executive Order 2225. For those who have not visited us before, we are currently standing in the Oregon State Hospital Memorial. Behind me are hundreds of empty canisters that once held the cremains of former OSH patients and other people from other state institutions. 20 years ago, these canisters became a symbol for the voiceless, people who were patients who were languishing here at the state hospital, and staff who were doing, frankly, the very best they could with inadequate resources in buildings that were falling down around them. And despite being just down the street from the Capitol, it was rare in those days for lawmakers to come and visit the hospital. But after the Oregonian wrote an expose about the hospital in 2004, Senator Courtney toured the Salem facility here to see for himself what was happening. What he saw here drove him to action. He wrote to his fellow senators, encouraging them to invest in the Oregon State Hospital. His letter said, "The physical condition of our state hospital is merely a metaphor for the ramshackle state of our larger mental health system. We must address this crisis, and we must do so before we adjourn the next legislative session." His fellow legislators, for the fortune of all of us, responded. Over the next several years, they approved funding for 2 new facilities. The one here in Salem, which opened in its present form in 2011, and the one in Junction City, which opened in 2015. They invested in our staff, nearly doubling the number of staff that we had at the time. They invested in a new medical record, an electronic medical record. The funds they allocated also allowed us to build this memorial and the Oregon State Museum, the Oregon State Hospital Museum for Mental Health in the Kirkbride building behind you. When I started working here almost 18 years ago as a direct care psychiatrist, every unit, including mine, coped with overcrowding and countless maintenance issues. Environmental care risks, which we would not tolerate nor permit today, things like ligature points, breakable glass, were everywhere. Spaces to conduct individual or group therapies had to be carved out from former patient rooms or day rooms on disused units. And to access medical or dental care, patients had to be taken in tunnels, for the most part, underneath the street, underneath the parking lots that were dark, overcrowded, full of all kinds of things that, again, we don't really want our patients to have access to. And frankly, the conditions that we were working in did not make providing safe and effective care very easy for any of us. Our patients were also profoundly dissatisfied, frankly, with the state of our hospital facilities, appropriately so. And I did that thing right past my last page. The new facilities, however, have been an enormous boon. In our new facilities, patients are no longer housed with up to 5 people in a room. They are no longer on units with 45 patients. There are plenty of dedicated indoor and outdoor spaces for group and individual therapy. Accessing service off the unit is as simple as walking out the door into another part of the building. And the environment is designed with safety in mind, and it meets modern hospital code standards, as well as the intangible things that make quality of life important. There's plenty of light, for example. Fresh air is accessible even on the unit, for example. So in other words, our hospitals now feel like a place where healing and recovery can happen. Senator Courtney's efforts and those of his colleagues in the legislature have made a lasting impact on thousands of people and will allow us to continue to serve one of Oregon's most vulnerable populations for years to come. So on behalf of the staff of the Oregon State Hospital, we thank him. Now I would like to introduce the Director of the Oregon Health Authority, Dr. Sejal Happy.
Have to adjust for those of us more vertically efficient. Thank you, Dr. Walker. To Oregon State Hospital staff, partners, Governor Kotek, First Lady Amy Kotek Wilson, State Treasurer Tobias Reed, Senate President Rob Wagner, indeed numerous legislators past and present, their sheer number and force and presence here today a testament to the leadership and the legacy of the man that we are celebrating here today. We have gathered to commemorate Senator Courtney, to celebrate and honor the legacy of an extraordinary man I am told embodied so much of what is best in Oregon. To all of Senator Courtney's family and friends, I am deeply sorry for your loss. While I never had the fortune of meeting the senator, I am told that he could light up a room and was a force to be reckoned with. I am glad, at least, that the senator had the opportunity to see the new signage on Center Street and that he liked what he saw. Since its inception in 1883, the Oregon State Hospital has been a cornerstone of psychiatric care in our state. Thanks to the unwavering efforts of Senator Courtney and many others, patients have an enduring safe haven where they can receive the highest level of psychiatric care available in Oregon. In a current patient's own words, the doctors are good here. They listen to you. They learn from us. That's what a doctor wants to do, to learn. And that is what we are all trying to do, learn. We must learn and adjust so that all Oregonians are able to receive the right level of care at the right time. Senator Courtney understood this, just as he understood that while Oregon State Hospital plays a vital role, it is not the panacea to all Oregon's behavioral health needs. All of us must work to strengthen the capacity of the full system and foster a fluid continuum of care that meets patients where they are. Senate President Courtney did more than most to advance this mission, directing a historic $1.3 billion toward behavioral health that 3 years later is now bearing fruit. In an age of bitter partisanship that seeds and infects our country's soul, Senator Courtney built relationships and forged common ground, and in his steadfast advocacy for the people of Oregon, persuaded others that reversing our behavioral health crisis is not only urgent, it is possible. The Oregon Health Authority is committed to making Senator Courtney's vision real, to fostering a system that works for every child, teen, adult, and family experiencing mental illness, and to expanding integrated, coordinated, and culturally responsive behavioral health services across our state. This vision is core to our strategic plan, and there are likely few better ways to honor Senator Courtney's service than to follow his example and to drive this vision forward to eliminate health inequities for all Oregonians, including and especially those with serious and persistent mental illness. I am grateful to be working for a leader committed to doing just that. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce my boss and one of our state's fiercest champions for expanding behavioral health services, Governor Tina Kotek.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's good to see you all. Thank you all for being here. And thank you, Dr. Hoffey, for the introduction. And thank you to everyone at the Oregon State Hospital and the Oregon Health Authority for putting together this event today. It's really good for us to be here, particularly today. I know that Peter Michael Coleman Courtney, my friend, the former president of the Oregon Senate, is here right now, in spirit, making sure we get this right. So I'm going to do my best, Peter. Oregon history has another date to write in the history books today, the passing of a great leader. My heart breaks for the family, Peter's family today, and their loss. But I also can't think of a more fitting tribute than to be here at the Oregon State Hospital today for this dedication. And I'm so pleased that Peter got to see the sign. Peter cared so deeply about the people who have been helped on these grounds, the people here now receiving treatment, and those who will come in the future needing help and healing. And he cared about the staff who do the hard work here by providing important health care every single day. So thank you to the team from the hospital who are here and watching today. President Courtney will be distinctly remembered as the longest serving legislator in Oregon's history. He will be remembered because he loved Salem, he loved Oregon, and he was a tenacious champion for the Oregon State Hospital. In one of her final executive orders in December of 22, Governor Kate Brown directed the Oregon Health Authority to rename this facility the Peter Courtney Salem campus of the Oregon State Hospital. I want to thank Governor Brown for recognizing President Courtney's years of being a champion for mental health services and for his absolutely transformational work in rebuilding this institution and righting historical wrongs. He took a significant personal pleasure in looking literally at the plans for this building and working with those who were making the new building happen. It made him incredibly happy when he talked about it. And then he probably did some shouting about it too, but he was really happy about it. Because he wanted to make sure, and he succeeded, he wanted to make sure that the Oregon State Hospital in Salem would be a therapeutic environment for healing for the patients here. My first encounters with Peter when my first term in the legislature in 2007, I was a freshman lawmaker and I witnessed firsthand his commitment to making sure the mental health system would have a better state hospital, to be there for Oregonians who need hospital level care to address serious mental health illness in their lives. For those of you who were there in 2007, you will remember there was a lot of debate about where we should invest dollars. And while we have continued to invest in our community mental health system, having a truly modern state hospital here in Salem was always part of that vision, and Peter made that happen. But it wasn't just the Oregon State Hospital in the present that he fought for. He also fought for a dignified place of rest for those who had died here and supported those programs to unite families with the remains of their deceased family members. And as he fought for major mental health packages session after session in the legislature, he was successful. When I was speaker, we'd sit in his office, by the way, not mine, his office, with a really big table. And we would talk, okay, Peter, how much you want for mental health? And I would say how much I wanted for housing, and we would get it done together. He wanted to make sure that we had a complete system. And we are not finished, but we must all recommit ourselves to sharing the vision that Peter had to actually get it right. His legacy as a legislative leader will be the stuff of history books. I know that his legacy of public service and love of Oregon will inspire those who knew him and those yet to know him. And while Peter loved the legislature and his adopted state, and he loved talking about it, his greatest love is his wife, Margie, and the beautiful family that they raised here in Salem. And today's celebration is also about them. I'd like to finish by reading the dedication plaque that will hang here at the Peter Courtney Salem campus of the Oregon State Hospital in honor of his remarkable career in public service. Here's the text of the plaque. By Executive Order 22-25, Oregon Governor Kate Brown directs the Oregon Health Authority to name the state hospital facility in Salem the Peter Courtney Salem campus of the Oregon State Hospital. Senator Peter Courtney served in the Oregon Legislative Assembly, both in the House of Representatives and the Senate, for 38 years, making him the longest-serving legislator in Oregon's history. He served a record 20 years as president of the Senate, after having also served as House Democratic leader. Senator Courtney has long been known, and will always be known, as a champion for mental health services, leading the charge to increase funding for community mental health treatment, and winning passage on an increase in the cigarette tax, which is dedicated to funding mental health treatment. There's a side story there, special sessions, but we'll get back to that. Senator Courtney was instrumental in the effort to replace the original 1883 Oregon State Hospital with new and refurbished facilities in 2011, including a public memorial to the unclaimed cremated remains of nearly 3,500 Oregonians who had died while patients at the Oregon State Hospital and other institutions in the area. Senator Courtney has been, is, and will always be remembered as a talented leader, a valued colleague, and a steady presence in the Oregon State Capitol and in Oregon state government for 4 decades. His legacy will live on in the people who pass through the hospital doors. Peter's life, and Peter himself, is the embodiment of the extraordinary impact that one person can make, and the positive impact of his life's work is seen in every community in our beautiful state. So I'm now going to turn things over to Connie Seeley, who serves as the Executive Vice President and Chief Administrative Officer and Chief of Staff at Oregon Health Science University. Connie joined OHSU in 2010, but previously served in senior leadership in the Oregon Legislature as Chief of Staff to President Courtney for 7 years. Connie?
Thank you, Governor. Oh, am I good? Good. So thank you, and good afternoon. As the Governor mentioned, I'm Connie Seeley, and I had the honor and privilege of serving as Chief of Staff to President Courtney for 7 years. And it's as great an honor to be here today representing him. So I'm going to do my best to be Peter. And for those who know him, it is a really, really tall order. I actually remember walking these grounds 20 years ago. Peter had publicly called attention to the ailing facility of the state hospital and had been invited by the then leadership of the hospital to tour the facility. He said he wanted to see it all, no holding back. In fact, he was going to bring the Oregonian team, reporters, and editorial writers with him. The hospital leadership welcomed us, and frankly, the rest was history. The Oregonian would later win a Pulitzer for its editorial writing on the subject, but that is not why we're here today. On that gray day, we discovered what would soon be called the Room of Forgotten Souls. The cremated remains of 3,500 people who died while living or working at the Oregon State Hospital and other facilities were locked away in an outbuilding on this campus. Peter asked questions, he got answers, and just like always, the team here was incredibly gracious. Walking into that room for the first time, when we learned what was contained in those copper canisters, everyone on the tour fell silent. We stayed that way while we left the building and locked the room back up and went on to finish the tour. After coming back to the Capitol, Peter knew he needed to do something. He needed to act. He spoke then to Speaker Minnis about the tour and the discovery and the need. She wanted to see it, and she wanted to go with Peter. And they did. And when that tour was over, and I don't remember who broke the silence or who said what to who, but as we were going back to the cars, it was clear she had been convinced. We had to do something. So, a new hospital was built here in Salem, a new hospital in Junction City, a museum was built to remind future generations how behavioral health patients were once treated. We now have a remarkable memorial to the souls who are no longer forgotten and changed the lives of the patients in this hospital. Peter did all those things. But there is still more to do. If Peter were here right now, he would say the work that started 20 years ago is just the beginning of a journey. And it's a journey that must continue. Peter was humbled to think that this hallowed ground would bear his name. And on behalf of Peter and his family, thank you for this incredible honor. You are all far too kind. Peter would also share, if he was here today, if you really want to honor the work that began that day on these grounds, you'll continue the journey. You'll accept that it's a journey that can never end. You'll accept that there will always be more to do. And you'll keep doing it. Oregonians have historically been there for each other. Our love and devotion guides us. We care for our state. We care for our community. We care for our families and our friends. Caring for the most vulnerable, giving voice to those who do not have one, must always be a priority for Oregon, my Oregon. Please never let them be forgotten again. Thank you.
Again, thank you for everybody for coming. That's the end of the speeches. If you would like to stay a little bit, chat with folks, take a look at the memorial, please do. There's also some refreshments in the back. And again, thank you and very much appreciate everyone taking the time to be with us this afternoon.